Hi everyone, welcome to the next video in my Aranea series. Today we are starting on her helmet, and boy oh boy is this a piece of work and a half. So I am going with some 4mm craft foam, just figuring out my templates with some paper and then going back in with the actual foam and pinning it to my wig head to make sure I have all of my angles correct. Once that's done, I'm going to cover those foam pieces with Worbla. So you can see here I am covering the jaw piece. I've already gone in and covered the forehead piece and then the back of the head piece, but that's basically what we're doing. So now I'm going to heat up my jaw piece and shape it to the angle that I need to fit on the head. Alright, now that I've got those pieces assembled, I'm going to go in and sketch out the size and shape of the horn. I just use regular copy paper when I make my patterns and my templates, but you can use whatever you'd like. So I'm going in with some 10mm craft foam. I started out with 2 pieces because I was going to be layering and dremeling, but then I realized that it probably wasn't going to be as thick as I needed it to, so I went back in and cut a 1/3. Then I'm just going to hot glue those together. Now if I wasn't going to be covering these with Worbla, I would use contact cement just because it makes a better seal and less chance for air bubbles, but I am covering everything with Worbla, so hot glue worked fine for me here. Once those pieces are all put together, I'm going to press them tightly. I want to make sure I'm doing the entire length of those horn pieces. I'm going to Dremel and Dremel and Dremel and Dremel, but first I need to sketch out my planes. So drawing a line with the marker helps me figure out where I'm going to keep the high points, and I'm going to go in with a Dremel and take away any excess that I don't need. Once I've got the bulk of the foam removed, I'm going to follow up with a sanding plane and just make sure everything is nice and smooth and even. I don't want any lumps or bumps or anything because it'll show through the Worbla, and we really want it to be as smooth as possible. Just continuing to go in until you have the shape that you need. Once that's all done, I'm going to heat up my Worbla and cover the horn. Okay, now that's all done. I've sanded some spots that I didn't really like the edges on, and I've attached it to my helmet. Now I'm going to work on these kind of front pieces, so again I'm just going to sketch out the size and shape that I need, and I'm going to need to make some adjustments here, so I just make a little slit and adjust as I need. I feel like they stuck out a little bit too much, so I'm going to just trim that piece down. Now that's why I make patterns and templates with paper, so that way I'm not ruining and wasting my craft foam. There we go, back to the Dremel. Because everything is kind of blade shaped, you just want to take down the corners basically. Once that's all done, I'm going to go ahead and cover those 4 pieces with Worbla, just sandwich it in between, pinch the edges, and then I'm going to cut out with some scissors. It's a little easier to cut when the Worbla is a little bit warm, so I just go back in and heat it up. And then on the inside portion, I'm just going to flatten that down because that's the part that's going to go against my visor. You can see it's already starting to take shape here. Just going to heat that up and attach it to itself. And there we go. Now I'm going to work on these little temple pieces. I just traced a cup and then used a little medicine cup to get another inside piece that I was looking for. Poked it with my fancy pen and then used my Dremel to take out a notch in the top and the bottom, and then put a little shape in the middle as well too. I'm just switching out the attachments on my Dremel to dig those whole pieces that I poked the pen through just a little bit deeper. Then I'm going to go in and cover that with Worbla. Just make sure that when you cover it with Worbla you don't lose your details, so you want to go back in and shape those out. Trim any excess and then wrap those edges underneath. Okay, now we're going to work on that little back piece that kind of looks like a rib cage. I don't know what it is, but I just cut that out of foam, covered it with Worbla, and then it kind of looks wrapped to me, so I'm just kind of making a curved shape. And I have my reference photo there in front of me, so I make sure that I'm doing it as close to the actual reference photo as possible. Once that's done, I'm going to heat up my helmet and attach that to the back. There we go. On these side pieces, they're kind of like these little, they look almost like little vertebrae kind of, so I figured out this little shape and I'm going to trace out 4 of them. actually, well, 8 total, 4 for each side. Heat them up with a heat gun so I can get the shape correct. And then once those are all shaped to the specifications that I'm looking for, I'm going to glue them all together in a sequence. And once that sequence is all done, I'm going to go ahead and, you guessed it, cover it with Worbla. Again, you don't want to lose any of those detail edges, so just use a scissor or your finger or a marker, whatever you have available. Clay shaping tools work really well. I don't have any, but you could use those as well too, just to don't lose any details. And then we're going to shape it. And we're going to heat up the ends and attach it to the back of our helmet. Okay, then we need to work on the little like rib pieces that are going to attach. And for this I just use a doubled up scrap piece of Worbla, and I used a little paper so I make sure everything is pretty consistent with size. I'm just going to warm that up, cut it with some scissors. And then I'll trim the length based off of how much I need to connect between the middle piece and those side pieces as well too. The video makes it seem so easy, but I probably have spent about 8 hours so far on this helmet, and it's not even painted. And then add our last one on. And there's one side done. And then we're just going to continue up the other side. Next, we're going to continue to work on these temple pieces. So I just kind of traced out a shape to make my pattern. And then because this has kind of a 3D shape, I'm just taking an extra piece of craft foam and lining the inside edge. So we want it to kind of make almost like a pyramid shape. Just hot gluing that around the outside. And then just trimming a little bit of the excess foam because it was sticking out a little bit further than I wanted. Covering it with Worbla, like we do. Trimming away any excess. And then I just want to make sure that it's lined up exactly where I need it to be. I'm going to heat up both parts and start shaping it to the temple. Then I'm going to take my little round disc that I made earlier, heat up by the back of that and then the temple, and attach that to the side. If you do get any bubbles, you can just press them down and work them out on the sides there. Next, we're going to make those kind of jaw line fang pieces that you see. Just going to heat that up, sandwich it between the Worbla, trim it out, and then attach it to the helmet. And there we go. All right, once that's all done, we're going to work on the tail. So I wanted these to have lots of movement and be able to swing kind of around, so I didn't want to cover these in Worbla. So I'm just making these like little batarang shape basically, and I'm heating them up with my heat gun. I have a little notch that I trimmed out, and I'm just going to heat glue those together. I don't know why I keep saying heat glue, hot glue them together. And then I have these little silver O-rings, these little jewelry findings that I have that allow these little links on the tail to swing back and forth. So all I'm doing is opening them up and then attaching them to each other. And then once two of them are attached, I'm going to hot glue it to the tail of the one above it. See if you can get a little bit of a closer look. So we're folding them in half. There's that little notch that I was talking about. And there's the little O-ring that we're gluing together. and the one part I don't have is at the very, very bottom. There is a longer piece that I don't have in the video, but you'll see right there on the very bottom. There is my finished helmet. Holy moly. All I need to do now is prime and paint and we are ready to go, but I am thrilled with how this came out. I think it looks pretty close to the reference photo. I'm excited that it's done. I can't wait to paint it. Feel like for the most part everything else will be smooth sailing, but thank you guys so much for watching this series of videos. I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye everyone!